Hey, it's Frank. This is going to be my last video because it's kind of cold out here. My hands are starting to freeze. Um, so I talked about my son and I talked about my breakup. And this one, I'm going to be talking more about my feelings for the past 5 months. So my ex broke up with me September 9th. And of course, I was broken up about it. We were dating for well, 3.5 years. And I didn't feel it immediately, but I did feel it pretty bad. I was crying for like an hour at a time, and sometimes she was allowing me to cry on her shoulder, and sometimes it was just crying myself to sleep. Um, I guess I'd always been kind of emotional, even though I don't like to show it because I don't want to burden people with that. But hearing these videos, and since I found out what good friends are for, I've been able to open myself up more. And I don't want to, if I'm ever going to find someone else, I want to be as open with them as I can be, emotionally, and um, uh, I just want them to be able to know everything about me so that they know what what they're getting themselves into. I don't want to be um, I don't want someone to be infatuated with me because of what I have done, or what my abilities are. I want them to love me for for my personality. Um, because I think that's probably what happened with my ex. Is she saw my personality, and she'd never dated anyone with my personality before. She had always dated the the jerks, the ESTPs, the douchebags, and or the ISF the ISFPs, those um, the smokers that hang out behind the bleachers. That was her crew. She was emo back then, and I probably would have been emo, not that far, if I had grown up differently. But my parents were pretty conservative, and I wasn't even in public school until 8th grade, so I wasn't even introduced to the culture that comes with public school until then, and I didn't even realize that there were um, uh, those mental illnesses until like high school, really. Um, but what was I talking about? Oh yeah. So I think she was dating me for my personality, which she'd never been with anyone like me before, and at the time I was also really into making stuff, still making props, and um, I made her jewelry, and I made a music box for her, and I made her a rose and a glass cloch, and I think she liked that I made her things. And when I stopped doing that because we didn't have time for it anymore, because we had moved in together, and we had to watch the kids, and especially with our I mean, we had a baby that needed to be looked after 24/7. Like, we couldn't even take a shower while he was napping in case something went wrong, without someone there. And I just didn't have time to do that anymore. And I think she either realized that she liked me for that, and she realized it was shallow, and she didn't want to tell me that that was the reason why she left, or she didn't realize that, and she thought that she loved me, but she only loved me for that part of me. Um, but anyway, it would be nice to have people to I want to be open with them. I don't want them to look at me for what I can do. So I'll probably, when I start dating somebody, which I mean, I'm hoping it happens sometime soon, that I'll find somebody that really gets me, because I did find one person, but there was, I mean, I'm monogamous and she wanted to be able to explore her feelings, which I can understand that. We both had a view and we were both very honest and open with each other. And we realized that we weren't going to be a good fit, so we cut it off. And we're still friends because she was very open, because we were both very open. So we're good friends still. I had that explanation, I had that truth, I had that clarity, that um, so I was able to move on. It was also hard because she was, I mean, practically perfect, except for that. But yeah, such is life in Gulag. So after, no, well, before my ex had moved out of the house, I was extremely emotional still, and I was losing all of the reasons for me to stay motivated, to, I mean, my reasons for living. And that's not a healthy way to look at a relationship, is that they're your reason for living, or that you're theirs. But I mean, at the same time, I can understand wanting someone to love you enough that you feel like you're their reason, like you feel so loved from them that you feel like they couldn't be there without you, even though you know that they're so independent and strong. But um, just to have, just to feel that loved, that I think that can be healthy too, for certain people. Um, but I mean, I had lost her and her kids that I had grown to love and was teaching, and that had grown to love me. I mean, her younger son had only known me really for a dad, and he still calls me dad. I mean, I haven't seen him in a while, but her mom told me. And well, I haven't seen him in a while, him, the son, her, the ex. But before they moved out, I tried to kill myself, and I tried to do it here in this gazebo, um, right into that pond. I tied myself up to a dumbbell, and I set all my things down on the bench here, and I just started walking out into the pond. And I figured, of all the ways that could be done, I would black out, and there wouldn't be a chance that I would start breathing again from, if I tried to suffocate myself. I had no way to get poison. I didn't like to physically harm myself with knives. I didn't know how much that would hurt, or if I would be successful. And cutting, it definitely wouldn't bleed out enough, and who knows if I would have, how long I would have suffered hanging, or how long until my family found me like that. And so I figured walking out into this pond would hide my body, and it would be a sure way to end it. But as I was walking into the pond, the mud, it took a hold of my shoes, and I thought, I'll just leave the shoes behind. I'm not gonna need them anyway. But it just took so long to walk out, and I was up to my chest, and I couldn't stop thinking about my son, and that I didn't really want to die. I just hated my circumstances. So I was able to get back out, And I was able to go back home and hide the evidence, clean it all up, and make it seem like it never happened. This was late at night when, and I happened to be by myself that night. The kids were at her mom's house, and she was at work, and all that. And um, that was the first time I had tried in a while. I tried years ago before I started dating anyone because I just felt so alone. But the only thing that stopped me then was my mom had just gotten home, and I didn't want her to find me like that. Um, and I knew I had to go to therapy. I didn't know how at the time, and I didn't go until after my son died, because at that point it was too much. And after that happened, I tried a couple more times. I tried to cut my throat, but the knife wasn't sharp enough, and I called the post office 1-800 line because at that time I was working at the post office, and they were very helpful in talking to me until the feeling passed, and getting me started with therapy. And I tried to hang myself with an extension cord by cutting off my carotid arteries, and I it wasn't working. Um, but thankfully, I mean, I guess so far, at least thankfully, it didn't. Um, I still think about it a lot, about doing it, but now that I mean, at the time of those incidents, I was still living at our old house, and I was completely alone for weeks. And while I did have my friends there to talk to, I just didn't feel like I could bother them. I didn't want to burden them with my feelings because they had already let me open up to them so much already. I just I felt like it was too much, that I that they can put on a face, and maybe they do care, but they don't need to care. You know, I can just, if I'm gone, then they won't have to worry about me anymore. I won't have to worry about me anymore. I won't feel heartbreak again, and that's why I tried. And but I went to therapy and was able to talk some stuff out. But I lost my insurance after I left the post office to go back to school and work at Walmart again. Um, so I haven't seen him recently. Um, and lately, yeah, I mean, I still feel those feelings, especially at night, of course, that this life doesn't really have anything for me anymore. And as hard as I'm trying to find just someone to hang out with me, I mean, and nobody ever responds really. Um, and my standards are so much higher now because I know what not to look for now. I don't want someone like my ex that is, I mean, she's probably an ESTP. I don't want someone like that will pretend to love me and they don't have that depth of feeling and understanding. And I mean, it's going to make it harder to find somebody, but at least now I'll know what to look for. And I still cry every night for my son. It's been a lot of dark days, and I feel like getting drunk a lot. Um, but now I'm kind of afraid to because the last time I got drunk um, with my close friends, which we don't meet very often, and we don't even drink very often. But the last time I did, it was after my son had died, and I don't even remember like half the time of me being drunk, but I do remember crying a lot and that they were there for me, and I don't want to put that on them. I don't want to I don't like to cry to people. I I don't mind telling them my situation, but if I have to open up to the point where I am emotional and crying about it, it just all comes out. Um, when I was still working at the post office before my son had passed and after the breakup, I I just had this feeling inside me that I didn't want to be there, that I needed some time, that I wasn't going to be able to perform that day. And I talked to the supervisor and I was joking. I just asked, is there anything as like a mental health day? And she said, yeah, do you need one? And I said, yeah. And as soon as I said that, I turned around and hid my face because I started to cry, and thankfully she was very supportive as well. Um, I don't like I don't like to show the emotional part of me because I guess because of how I was raised, I don't want people to think that I'm weak or that I'm trying to draw attention to myself, because I don't want that. And that kind of stems from when I was in high school. Um, I was in band, and I happened to be the the best pit player. Marimba, xylophones. I just happened to be the best one because I already knew how to play piano, and a lot of people didn't know the keys, where the keys were, and everything. And and I happened to have a lot of time to work on it, and I could play the Flight of the Bumblebee on there, and a lot of times I just knew where the notes were in the space, so I could like look up at the music, or I could look up at people and have a conversation while I'm playing something if it wasn't too difficult. And this girl that I was interested in told me she thought I was a show off because I would look up while I was playing, and that confused me because I that was never my intention. I mean, if I was going to show off, it was showing off for her because I wanted her to see my worth. I wanted her to um, just see that I had worth, and there was a reason that maybe she might like to be around me. But she took it the other way, that I was just trying to get attention from everyone, that I was like an ESFP, and maybe I am, and my experiences have changed me to be more INFP, which is what I've been testing as, but I'm currently trying to figure that out with these videos about what I really am. Um, but and ever since then, I don't want to draw attention to myself. I want to make myself small enough that people don't have to worry about me, that people don't think I'm drawing attention to myself, and and yeah, I just if you have to draw attention to yourself to make yourself feel good, I mean, I don't, I don't know. I can't explain it, but um, I think I'll end the video there. Um, I explained a lot, and even though I didn't really feel a lot, it was good to get it out there for future lookbacks, just for cataloging purposes, for typing and all that, I suppose. So I'll end it there, guys. Thanks for watching.